This video is over Reading Informational Standards 910.4, Diction, Tone, and Mood. So there's more to this standard, but we're just going to look at this part of it. Determine the connotative meanings of words and phrases as they are used in a text. Analyze the cumulative impact of specific word choices, diction, on meaning and tone. So word choice is just diction, the author's or speaker's specific word choice. Authors choose words carefully in order to convey specific moods or tones. So they're not just writing whatever word pops into their head. They are very intentional about the words they choose to use. Denotation is the literal definition of a word, but connotation includes any negative or positive associations that a word carries. For example, bony and thin are synonyms. They have the same denotation. But where bony holds a negative connotation, thin holds a positive one. So you don't necessarily use these words interchangeably, even though they're synonyms. Knowing the connotations of words will help you to determine the tone and mood of a text. Tone is the author's attitude about the text or its subjects, characters, etc. Remember, this is how the author feels, not you. So keep that little image of author tone in your mind when you're asked about the tone. Here's some words to describe tone. There's a lot here. There's a lot more out there. You might screenshot this. If there's any on here that you don't know the meaning of, it would do you good to look it up. Any of these can be used to describe tone. Some of them are negative, some of them are positive, some of them are kind of in the middle, but they're all useful. Now, mood is how the reader is expected to feel after reading a text, or while reading a text. Some of the words for mood can cross over with some of the words for tone, but not all will, and mood and tone are not the same. So here's some words to describe mood. Again, there's plenty here and plenty more out there, but if there's any on this that you don't know, I would challenge you to look them up. It would be helpful in the future if you knew all these words. Okay, so for some practice, we're going to determine the tone of this paragraph. Bursting through the door, the flustered mother screamed uncontrollably at the innocent teacher who gave her child an F. So I want you to think about the author's attitude towards the mother, and then find the words that led you to this conclusion. Okay, I chose disapproving. There's other words that would work. Anything in that area, though, would be probably right. It's definitely a negative tone. Bursting, screamed uncontrollably, and the fact that she calls the teacher, or the author calls the teacher innocent, tells you that the author does not approve of what the mother is doing. Okay, again, let's determine the tone of the paragraph. Gently smiling, the mother tenderly tucked the covers up around the child's neck and carefully, quietly left the room, making sure to leave a comforting ray of light shining through the open door should the child wake. So think about that for a minute. Think about how the author feels about what's going on here, and then find the words that tell you that. Okay? I chose approving, adoring. Those are from the list I gave you. There's other words out there you could use as well. But the words that led me to that were gently, tenderly, carefully, quietly, comforting. These are all nice, positive, warm, and fuzzy words that lead us to the good feelings and feeling like the author has good feelings towards the mother. Okay, now we're talking about mood. So how are we supposed to feel as we read this? Bouncing through the door, Alara lit up the room with a joyous glow on her face as she told her parents of her exam scores. Okay, so determine the mood and then find the words. Okay, I chose cheerful. You might have chosen joyful, happy, anything like that. Bouncing, lit up the room, joyous. These are all very positive things that lead us to hopefully feeling a little bit happier. All right, next one. Determine the mood. She huddled in the corner, clutching her tattered blanket and shaking convulsively as she feverishly searched the room for the unknown dangers that awaited her. Okay, so think about how we're supposed to feel and what words make us feel that way. Okay, I chose fearful and ominous, which just means threatening. And you could have picked anything similar. Huddled, clutching, shaking convulsively, feverishly, dangers. These are all words that make you fearful, or should to some degree. Okay, now this is just an example test question. It's a part A, part B. I didn't put the article on here, but if you look at the answer choices, it gives you an idea of how they're going to ask about this. So part A asks you to describe the tone, and the answer is frustrated and critical. And then part B wants you to choose the quote that supports that tone. So looking through those options, the last option makes you feel like the author is frustrated and critical. Fair blends to a norm, and in doing so, it limits, inhibits, stifles, and restricts, all under the guise of balance and equality. So there's several words I would underline there: limits, inhibits, stifles, restricts. These are all negative things. They have a negative connotation. And saying it's under the guise of balance is implying that it's not really balanced or fair. It's just pretending to be.